Okay, so this is today's reading that's coming up, but at the moment we're looking at a photo of a painting of Sir Thomas Browne, and he is the subject of today's reading. So here we go, let's get on with it. So it's titled, What Can a 17th Century English Doctor Teach Us About Embracing Uncertainty? That's the title. So this article is on LitHub, Literary Hub. And the writer, I believe, is this chap here called Cutter Wood. Cutter Wood is the author of this article. And this little bit here says Cutter Wood on Thomas Browne and the joys of exploring what we don't know. It was written a couple of weeks ago, roughly speaking. If I scroll down. So, Michael, are you okay going first? You were first in, so it's over to you. Whoops, gone too far. So I can scroll down if you run out of screen to read, if that's okay. Over to you then, Michael.
Okay, I've been reading Sir Thomas Browne again. It happens every few years. There must be some underlying mental weather pattern here that I haven't quite haven't quite caught on to.
Hmm.
Life is life is cruising along. Sure, there are the usual issues, but nothing really acute to complain about. And then one day I go and pull down my big yellow copy of the collected works and start paging back through pseudoxia or hydrotophia.
Mm. Mm.
Tophia.
Mm.
I don't know what my problem is. Reasonable people don't do this. Browne, 7th century Norwich doctor is legendarily excruciating to read. His prose is dense, ornate, disorienting, disorienting. The syntax so convoluted.
Mhm.
The spelling and conjugations so old-timey. The footnotes, footnotes so profuse. The habit of laboring allusion so insistent that the reader often has the sensation that all forward progress has been arrested.
That's it, yes. That's really good. That was very good. There's some very tricky sentences there and long words. I loved how you said this one here. I would struggle to say these words. So let's quickly look at them. But you were brilliant, actually. So, funny enough, of course, this one has come up two or three times now, and you said it perfectly, I thought. So, pseudo, and I think you then said doxia. That's how I would
Yeah,
say it. So, that's it. Well done. Pseudodoxia. This one's a little more tricky.
pseudodoxia.
Yeah, that's it. Good. Do you want to try this one as well, once again? That was good, how you said.
Uh, Hydrotophia.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yes, that's exactly. I think
Hydrotophia.
you could probably teach me some of these words, I think. So I think that word there, it's Greek for a large pot. So I think it's hydria. It actually ends in an A. The pot does. So, but hydrio,
Hydria.
and I would say that bit there exactly as you said it. So the PH makes an F sound. So taphia, exactly as you said it. So hydriotaphia, I would say. Yes, you've got it. Well done.
Hydriotaphia.
Well done. Your Latin, no, sorry, your Greek is better than mine, I would say. Seriously. Oh dear. So any other words that were really tricky or you wanted to go through? Maybe down here.
Yes, there are huge
Again,
amounts.
it was quite good, I thought. Very good.
Uh, uh, excruciating
That's
to
it.
read.
That's it. Yes. Excruciating. That's it. That's the word.
It's
Excruciating.
what does it mean? It's hard to read, excruciating, or what excruciating?
Yeah. So when I use that word, I normally think of the word pain. I would say the pain was excruciating. And again here, so just look the word up. It says
Uh,
intense
in-
pain. I'd say most of the time people it's pain to with pain. So let's listen to them.
excruciating,
That's it. Perfect. Excruciating. Do you want to say it a couple of times again? You've got it. You've got it really anyway, but just say it twice more maybe.
excruciating,
Yeah.
excruciating.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, excruciating. That's really good. Yeah, that's good. I can hear that the NG sound isn't quite spot on, but that's a little bit tricky sometimes, isn't it? We can come back to that. I think we have it from time to time, don't we? We come back to that. The NG sound. So their similar words are agonizing, severe, acute, intense, extreme, and normally it's pain. But so normally think you pain is the word, but here they're saying it's excruciating to read. So he is it very difficult and probably even painful to read. Most people would have the word pain in their mind, I would say. So fantastic reading, well done. Any other words then? Any other words you want to check
Uh,
the meaning?
uh, Ornate, it's like ornament. Ornament. It's
It's mm,
very sophisticated, very is very like I know the word
yeah.
ornament in Ukrainian. There is a word
Ah,
ornament
it's a
in
similar
when
name, isn't it? Word, yeah. So we say
uh,
ornate,
ornate.
but when we use it in English, it's normally to do with decorations. You might go into a
Yeah,
house and there may be very ornate plaster work on the ceiling, or very ornate. The garden might be very ornate. So normally it's to do with style and decoration, painting, something artistic, I would say, possibly. But so carving, ceiling decoration. So what do they say? So an ornate building, piece of furniture or object is decorated with complicated patterns or shapes. Yeah, so it's to do with the so it's elaborate, fancy, decorated, detailed, etc. Ornate. Let's go back to where we were. Whoops. Let's close that window there. It's excruciating. Okay. Any others?
disorient, disorienting,
Yeah. So
disorientation, disorientation,
yeah,
disorient.
that'd be another variation of the word. Yes, disorientating, disorientation. So if so,
Lose orientation.
so it's
Yes.
the
Yeah.
root word is sort of orient, you might say, or
Orient.
orientate. So actually the word orient means east. But when you're orientating yourself, you're finding your directions. You're
Yeah.
finding your direction. So to be disorientated means you sort of lost your directions. You don't know where you are. Things are confusing. Basically, it means confusing, really. You could say, or you've definitely lost your directions.
Uh, I don't know. Convoluted. It's like convulsion. It's like epilepsy. Conv
Epilepsy. It, it's probably
convoluted.
related. So it does mean sort of turned over. Um, Almost twisting. If you're doing a somersault, you're rolling over, aren't you?
Disrupting syntax. So disrupting. So it's like synonym convoluted.
Okay, here it means, you could say really means, in a way, it's saying unnecessarily complicated. That's how I would explain it in this sentence. Unnecessarily complicated. So if something's convoluted, it's sort of going in and out, back around itself, twisting over. That's what really convoluting means, convoluted. And it's not really to do with convulsions. But in the root of the word, it does sort of vaguely mean, it does come back to the same sort of idea originally. But nowadays, we do use the word convulsions, but it's a separate meaning really from convoluted. So here it's just saying unnecessarily complicated, twisted inside out, back to front, inside, all sorts of different ways. Probably correct, but unnecessarily complicated. Does that make sense? I'm saying the same thing again here. I think you've got that, hopefully. Just say if there's anything else.
Footnotes
Oh, yes.
so profuse.
A little bit.
The footnotes so profuse.
So, so profuse just means a great deal, a large number of something. Probably too, again, probably means too many. If you're profuse with something, it's too many. So lots and lots of something. And in this case, it's footnotes. Any idea what footnotes might be? So it's not too. You can almost guess the meaning from the two words that you can see that join together. Footnotes. So the foot is at the bottom, really. So it's at the bottom. There are little notes that are written. So we're reading something here, but at the very bottom of this page, it may explain what maybe pseudodoxia is. It may say, and pseudodoxia is the particular thing, etc., etc. And it may explain at the bottom in a footnote, hydriotaphia
I,
is something like so. It explains things normally. A little footnote at the bottom of the page normally explains something or leads you in another direction if you're interested in other more details. Does that make sense?
I understand. Yeah, it's
Okay.
it's usually in the end of the page.
That's it, at the bottom of the
The
page, isn't it?
explanation, the
Or the
bottom of the
back of the
page,
book
explanation.
sometimes. That's it. You've got
Yeah.
it. But footnotes technically means at the foot of the page, the bottom of the page. That's it. And they're smaller, aren't they? So what about this word here? What does that word mean?
Allusion.
That's it. That's it.
Uh, you know,
Tricky.
it's tricky, but I don't understand because I tried to find out what difference between illusion and allusion,
Mm.
but I couldn't.
Oh, right. Okay. So there is a relationship. So it's something that you can see, perhaps with your eye or with your mind. So illusion is probably something you see in your mind's eye, in your mind's eye. So you might be talking about, well, this hydrotaphia. So the hydrio bit means pot. Hydro means pot, and the taphia bit means to be buried. To be buried. So it means basically mean buried in a pot. So if you see that word, it's really to do with like to be with death. You could say someone that died, obviously. So it doesn't mention death in this whole paragraph, but you could say there's an allusion. There's an allusion to death in this sentence here because it mentions hydrotaphia, which is being buried in a pot. So it doesn't directly say death, but there's an allusion to it. Does that make sense? If there was
Yeah,
perhaps an illustration, there might be a picture of someone dying, maybe a picture of a dead person, or perhaps a picture of a pot. That would be an illustration, but but illusion, in this sense, is not that, but similar. Whereas an illusion is something you might see with your physical eye, but it would be something that isn't really there, something you thought was there, and perhaps other people thought it was there or thought it was true, but it isn't. An illusion. Perhaps it was misty and it looked like someone standing there, but it was, as I say, just mist. It wasn't a real person. It was an illusion with an eye, that one. But so this is an illusion. And often in writing, you allude to something. Oh, I'm alluding to this subject. I didn't really mention it really, but this is what I'm sort of referring to without actually talking about it. That's the idea with illusion. That's the difference. Yeah, good question. Well done. Very good question.
so in other words, illusion, it's like
Hmm.
meaning.
Um, it's not a million miles away, but I wouldn't really say it's the meaning of something. I wouldn't say it's the meaning. So just to go back to this one here again. So it doesn't mention death anywhere in this passage here, as far as I can see. Maybe it didn't, I've missed it. But just talking about this here, you could say this is an allusion, or it's sort of a vague sort of reference to. death, because being buried in a pot is about death, isn't it? Does that make sense? So you're not actually stating it. It's so illusion. So an expression designed to call something to mind. Yeah, here we go. Without mentioning it. So you're not actually saying it. It's not mentioning it explicitly, not exactly. An indirect or passing reference. So it's a reference to. So a reference to something. Um,
Hmm.
and even they say can be confused with illusion. So illusion and examples. Is there an example here? Let's click on that. Looks like an example. Oh, there's one down the bottom there as well. So illusion examples. One, don't act like a Scrooge. Oh, this is very Christmas Carol, isn't it? This is the next one. She was a good. That's very Christian. So she was a good Samaritan when she helped the older lady. Okay. So he studies all the time and is a regular Einstein. So I think they're saying that Einstein is an illusion. It's not quite my illusion, but okay. So chocolate is my Achilles heel. Okay. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
so
It makes sense. Okay.
it's not quite the way I would have written it, but there we go. It does say for kids, so maybe that's maybe that's a slight confusion there. So let's do this. Let's look at this bottom one, this one here, I should say, the bottom page here. So some common illusions examples include to my dog, our neighborhood is the Garden of Eden. Alludes to the Christian Bible. Oh, there we go. So they're not really mentioning the Bible or the Christian Bible, but they do mention this story, of the Garden of Eden, which is from the Bible. So it is an allusion to the story in the Bible. So it's an allusion to the story in the Bible, a story in the Bible. Okay, we'll move on from there, I think. Okay. Um, Thinking about it, I think when you said, so this is a place in Britain, it's reasonably well known. It's on the East Coast.
Norwich.
And again,
Norwich.
yeah, that's pretty much it, yes. Just to say it more, I'll repeat it a couple of times for you, so just to get it clearly. So Norwich, Norwich. So
Norwich.
the W, you could say is silent, really. And in place names, often the W is silent. Thinking about it, in place names, often the W in place names is silent.
Norwich.
That's it.
I know Norwich City Football Club.
Oh, you know it. Oh, yes, the yellow. Yeah, the Canaries. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a very good team actually. So yes, it Norwich, Norwich. So I suppose in a way it's almost as if there's some people say it with almost if there was two R's there. So Norwich, Norwich, Norwich. That's how I think that's how most people say it, but I think technically there isn't really Norwich, Norwich. Okay, I won't go too far. So I think there was something at the beginning. I remember what was there. Um, was there anything at the beginning you noticed? There was something. Oh, yes.
Cotton.
Yes,
Cotton.
yes.
Cotton too.
That's it. So you know some clothing can be made of cotton. So that's with cotton with an ed on the end of it basically. So it's an idiom. So the idiom is cottoned onto, cottoned onto, cottoned onto. Do you want to say that idiom for me?
Uh, cotton.
Cottoned.
Cotton on to.
Yes,
Cotton
pretty.
on to.
It's a
Cotton
bit.
on to.
You're getting it. Cottoned onto. That's it. Most people say it fairly fast, and people know immediately what you're referring to. So when you say you've cottoned onto something, it means you now understand it. You didn't understand it a moment ago or a little while ago, but when you say, "Oh, I've cottoned on now," It means you understand it now. So now you understand the meaning of illusion, etc. You've cottoned on.
Mm,
That's what you can say. Okay, there we go. Anything else you want to bring out or ask about there? Or even Giuseppe, anything you want to bring out or ask about there? A difficult reading. Well, difficult bits of it, I should say. But good reading on the whole, I would say. Let me read the thing again, and if you have any more questions, do ask at the end. So let me let me have a go. So I've been reading Sir Thomas Browne again, and actually I think when he said "sir," your "sir" didn't sound quite right. So I'll just say that first line again. Just listen out for the "sir." So I've been reading Sir Thomas Browne again. It happens every few years. There must be some underlying mental weather pattern here that I haven't quite cottoned on to. Life is cruising along, sure. There are the usual issues, but nothing really acute to complain about. And then one day I go and pull down my big yellow copy of the collected works and start paging through Pseudodoxia or Hydriotaphia. I don't know what my problem is. Reasonable people don't do this. Browne, a 17th century doctor, is legendarily excruciating to read. His prose is dense, ornate, disorientating, the syntax so convoluted, the spelling and conjugations so old-timey, the footnotes so profuse, the habit of flowering allusion so intense that the reader often has the sensation that that all forward progress has been arrested. And I think that's where you got up to. So maybe I'll just read to the end of that paragraph because it was off the bottom of the page for you, but I've rolled up now. So they are no longer moving through the text, rather it's the text that is passing, inching through them. Okay. Is there any other questions on that bit that we just read then? Any ideas or questions or weird things?
Yeah, at the beginning of the paragraph,
Hmm.
yeah, and third sentence,
Hmm.
there must be some underlying mental weather pattern. So is that an expression? Because in my mind, it could be also simply some underlying mental pattern, but why there
Hmm.
is weather inside? Is that
Hmm.
a way to say things or
I
so?
think it is a literary way of saying things. The writer is fairly good. He's trying to be interesting, and I think he's
Mhm.
achieving it. And so he's introducing clever ways of giving you a feeling of, I suppose, changeability. If in Britain, the weather changes quite
Mhm.
regularly.
Okay,
Some people say
okay.
you might have 4 seasons in one day, snow, sun, whatever. So I think to me that comes up with the idea of unpredictability and changeability,
So
mental weather
it is a
patterns.
very personal expression. So just
Yeah,
to
I've not come across it before. It's
mhm.
quite clever. Perhaps others have used it before and I've just not read it. But I
Okay,
would accredit it to this writer. And I think the guy was called Woodcutter, wasn't it? Cutter Wood, wasn't it? There we go. So must give him
thank you.
credit for that. Yes, thank you. Good question, that one. So just call out if there's any questions, and otherwise we'll scroll on. There we go. So when you get to the bottom, it's your go now, Giuseppe. So when you get to the bottom, I'll scroll on to another little passage if you fancy. So over to
Okay.
you then.
You know,
Yes.
I find out what does it mean mental weather is a
Yes.
metaphor comparing one's mental state to the weather, describing the fluctuations and patterns of emotions
Mm.
and thoughts over time. So,
Yes.
like I understand, it's change through the
Mm.
time.
Mm. Mm.
Smile, cry, sad, enjoy.
Yes, that's very good. Yes, very true. Yeah, thank you. That's quite helpful actually. Okay, thanks. So over to you, Giuseppe. This is your little bit of reading here, and I'll scroll
Okay.
down when you get to the bottom of the page of this section.
Okay. It feels at times as if an entire college curriculum had been boiled down and concentrated into each paragraph, like some literary analog of Vegemite.
Mm.
It's not obviously pleasant, in other words, in the usual ways we think of pleasant. I once tried to actually teach a portion of hydrotaphy to an undergraduate creative writing class. They were so smart and sweet, and until the day I assigned that reading, they believed in me. They thought I was someone they could trust.
Oops. Over to you.
Yeah, each of the Browne's works has its own trials and treasures. From the Gardens of Cyrus, a monograph on the shape of the letter X, to Pseudodoxia epidemica, a takedown of then popular superstitions, but inevitably its hydrotaphy I return to. The premise of the book is simple. A few ancient urns have been digged up in Norfolk, and Browne is going to write a brief discourse on them. But what he actually does is far vaster in scope. He uses the occasion to consider how people across all know human history have approached the disposition of dead bodies, whether they buried or burned them, and how, what rites they executed, what decorations or attitudes they affected.
Right. Interesting.
Mm.
Wow. So anything you want to talk about there? I'll scroll up for the
Mm,
other passages, the other paragraph in a moment, maybe. Must read this whole thing again, I think.
maybe mm, just in the center of this paragraph, the premise of the book is simple. A few ancient urns, I said urns, but I don't know if
Mm.
I was correct.
So um, they've stuck an E there. So yeah, I would have said urns, urns,
Urns.
urns. Yeah. So let's see. Let's pop it into the dictionary. So let's see what they say. Strange. I would have expected the E there, but again, they've not come across the word. It's strange, isn't it? Let's get rid of the E. Well, let's get rid of the ES. Make it just a singular. Yeah, so, and the plural, just an S on the end. So I don't quite, it might be a strange Americanism, I suppose. I don't know. I'm wondering maybe with the word ashes, you put an E on the end to get ashes. So it just struck me he may be doing that. I don't know.
urns,
Urns.
Mhm.
So so that's a thing. An urn normally is a pot, and often it's related to, as it says on the page in front of us, when you're there was that way of being buried that you are cremated and the ashes are put into a pot or an urn, and the urn is particularly a pot for ashes. So if you earn money, it's so these two words here on the screen on over here pronounce exactly the same, I would say. So earns and earns, you can't really tell the
Oh,
difference.
oh,
Those two words there. If you earn money or a small pot, well, it could be actually a big pot, I should say. So, but I think it might be that this is the way that the doctor himself would spell it. So in ancient times, it was spelled this way. I
okay.
would guess. I would hazard a guess. And then he says, have been digged up. So what's the past tense of dig, would you say? What's the past tense of dig? So there's future tense, and there's past tense, and there's present, and there's continuous tense, isn't there? So that's a,
Doug.
I think, yeah, Doug. The past tense, I would say it's Doug. Yeah, so Doug. So a few ancient urns have been dug up. That's what I would have said. So I'm guessing that this is the way that Browne would have written. So this is a small quote, I would guess, from Browne. But I could be wrong. I'm just guessing now. I've not read Browne, so I don't know. So nowadays we would never say that. I don't think we would say this.
Duck.
Okay,
Mhm.
that's the detail there. Anything else?
Mm, not in this part, I think.
What about what does disposition mean? Disposition? Disposition.
Yeah, the way the body is
Yeah,
placed into the,
that's it. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
You've got it.
into the tomb or
Yeah.
the coffin or so.
So is it resting on its side, the body, or is it on its back, on its front? That's right. Yeah, that sort of detail. Yeah. That's the overall. You might talk about disposition. That's spot on. Um, and Norfolk is the county where Norwich is. We had Norwich in the other paragraph above. So Norfolk is the area, the region, the oblast where Norfolk is the region
Oh,
where Norwich is. So this name here, again, here's another ancient writer. So Michel de Montaigne, so I think there, Montaigne, Michel de Montaigne. So there's no A there. So this is a man's name, Michel de Montaigne. We didn't read that, did we? Haven't said that. Again, there's very little I can bring out. So maybe I think we came to this word here. So any idea what this word here means? Anyone?
no, I have never came across this
Yeah.
word.
Okay. So it's a brand name, I would say, a proprietary
Mhm,
brand. It starts with a capital V, and most people, I think, really most people nowadays would say, "Oh, this is an Australian product, something that you
mhm.
put on your toast in the morning." And I think they would pronounce it as Vegemite.
Vegemite.
Yeah, that's it. You've got it. Spot on. Vegemite. So this here, we sort of say or vega maybe. Vegemite. That's it. So that's it. You've got it. I think you said it perfectly, actually.
Is that something sweet or
I think of it as being quite bitter. It's
bitter?
sort of some
Okay.
people hate it, some people love it. Trying to think. Let's search it. So I think it's got lots of vitamin B in it, I think. So Vegemite was invented in Melbourne in 1923 when an Australian food manufacturer requested a product similar to British Marmite. That's what I was thinking. I couldn't think of the word. Marmite. This spread made from brewer's yeast became a distinctively Australian food despite being owned by an American company for several decades. And this is what it might look like. You put it on your toast in the morning. And with Marmite is the British original, you might say, and Vegemite is the Australian version of pretty much the same thing. With Marmite, some people love it and some people hate it.
Mhm.
And sometimes in English, people say, if you go to see a film, and you might say, oh, some people, it's a bit like Marmite. Some people really love the film, some people really hated it. That's literally what people say. It's a bit like Marmite, they would say. It's not very common, but most certainly everyone has heard that phrase or idiom, I should say. I can't think of anything else there. Just say maybe I noticed your Greek is basically perfect, I would say. Better than mine. And this is a Latin word, I think, originally, isn't it? So
Yeah.
we tend to say it as curriculum. Curriculum.
Curriculum. Curriculum.
Yeah, that's it. Again, you're perfect, basically. So let me just reread that through. Maybe it'll bring up something. You may suddenly a question may occur to you, so do ask me. So I read down to here, ask me any questions, and I read the next paragraph below. So it feels at times as if an entire college curriculum had been boiled down and concentrated into each paragraph, like some literary analogue of Vegemite. It's not obviously pleasant, in other words, in the usual way we think of pleasant. I once tried to actually teach a portion of hydrotaphia to an undergraduate creative writing class. They were so smart and sweet until the day I assigned that reading. They believed it. They believed in me. They thought I was someone they could trust. I didn't read that very well. Oops. So, any questions there? I think I'm saying hydrio, and I think when you read it out, you're saying hydria. I think you're probably correct when you're saying it, Giuseppe. I'm tended to say hydrio. I think the original word is hydria, the pot itself, but when it's in that form there, it's I don't really know. I don't know which one
Yeah,
to say.
in ancient Greek it is hadria, but yeah, here
Yes,
probably for
yes.
phonic or euphonic reasons it
Yes, it
is.
changes because
Yeah,
it's in a word. You mean yes? Okay, it's used in a. It's a pre. Well, it starts a word off. Anything? I'm going to read this one now. And I think got down to execute, didn't you? I think executed. So each of Browne's works has its own trials and treasures. And trials and treasures is a little bit of not exactly an idiom, but it's a saying that often gets used. So from the Gardens of Cyrus, a monograph on the shape of the letter X, to Pseudodoxia epidemica, a takedown of then popular superstitions. But inevitably, it's hydrotaphia, I return to. The premise of the book is simple. A few ancient urns have been digged up in Norfolk, and Browne is going to write a brief discourse on them. But what he actually does is far vaster in scope. He uses the occasion to consider how people across all known human history have approached the disposition of dead bodies, whether they buried or burned them, and how what rites they executed, what decorations or attitudes they affected. Okay. I think you read that better than me. Okay. Yes, I'm reading it just now. To me, that felt a little bit like a quote from Browne. It's not a modern day English, that little bit there. Okay, so let's scroll on then. It's about 10 minutes to the end of the hour, but we'll carry on for one more reading, mate. One more paragraph each, perhaps. Let me ask a little bit here then. So it's not just his style that gets readers going, you see. It's his subject matter too. Okay, so to complete a little bit there off. So it's back to you again if you can read another paragraph, Michael, or a couple of paragraphs perhaps, the bottom of the page. Again, any
If you
questions?
can keep,
Yeah, sorry, carry on. I interrupted
okay,
you. Sorry.
if you can keep your bearing long enough to make it through the opening epistle, epistle,
Mm.
the first thing you notice is Brownie's ability to turn a phrase. Like some Mesopotamian mound, his work is strewn with fragments of unusual and arresting beauty. Take this section from the first chapter on the comparative shallowness of many graves. Few have returned their bones far lower than they might receive them, not affecting the graves of giants under hilly and heavy coverings, but content with less than their own depths, have wished their bones might lie soft and the earth be light upon them.
Hmm. Nice reading. Nice. Very, very good. So any words you want to go back over or check the meaning? Was that a no?
Bearing,
Yeah, carry on. Bearing. Oh, yes, at the beginning. Yes, bearing. Um, so it says, if you can keep your bearings long enough to make it through the opening, and this word's epistle. So that's it. So
epistle,
bearings. So in the very beginning we had that word which was disorientate or orientation. That word. So it's basically the similar idea. If you have your bearings, you know what direction you're going in. You know the direction you're going in. And normally this is more of a nautical use of the word. So if you're at sea and you have your bearings, you know the direction you're going in. You know exactly where you're going and the direction. That's what it means. North, south, east, west, that sort of thing. Hopefully that makes sense. Just say if it doesn't. So that's bearings. And it's often used in
bearings,
this sense nowadays. Do you have your bearings? If you're lost in a shop, you might say, do you have your bearings? Or you're lost, whatever, you might say something about bearings. And so this word here is epistle. And it basically means it's an old word for letter. If you write a letter to somebody, you could, in olden times, you may have said epistle. So you could say a
so
writing, some piece of writing in this case. So I've read the passage again. So if you can keep your bearings long enough to make it through the opening epistle. So his piece of writing at the beginning. Okay. Um, did you want to just say epistle again? So epistle.
epistle,
Yeah,
epistle,
epistle. Okay. That's pretty good. As a word, it's very literal. It's to do with literature. You wouldn't really use it in everyday language, but you may come across it in a fancy book, perhaps like this one. It's quite interesting use of the word. It's very good, I think. So I think your pronunciation of this was quite good. It was very good. I think we say it slightly differently to you, though. So I would say this is Mesopotamian. Mesopotamian. Do you want to give it a go? So Mesopotamian, tricky, maybe.
Mesopotamian,
Yeah, that's it. That'll do. Um, so it's not quite there, is it? So if we say it there, so Mesopotamia is slightly easier, I guess. Maybe that's not quite Mesopotamia, but Mesopotamia is the country, and so Mesopotamian is something from that country. So it could be a person from that country, or there isn't really nowadays a country called Mesopotamia, but there used to be one. But it's quite famous in that it's the cradle of civilization, you might say. So it's where people first started living in cities, that rough area. Any other words there? Want to go back over again? Just say if there's anything. Just keep looking through it again. So we see here again, sort of, so that's far with an extra RE on the end. And there's another word down there. So this again, this looks like something the way that the English doctor, that the writer here would have written, say, 400 years ago rather than nowadays. And it's sort of depth with an extra E on the end. And hilly. Okay. So maybe if I read it back, maybe it will bring something to mind. So any questions, do ask. Perhaps when we get to the end of it this time. So here we go. So if you can keep your bearings long enough to make it through the opening epistle, the first thing you notice is Browne's ability to turn a phrase. Like some Mesopotamian mound, his work is strewn with fragments of unusual, arresting beauty. Take this section from the first chapter of the comparative shallowness of many graves. Few have returned their bones far Few have returned their bones far lower than they might receive them, not affecting the graves of giants, under hilly and heavy coverings, but with less, content with less than their own depth, have wished their bones might lie soft, and the earth be light upon them. So that probably takes a couple of readings, this last little bit, to understand it properly. I think when you said, so there's two ways of saying this word, well, I've highlighted in blue. So there's content and there's content. So there's content and there's content. So if you're content with something, it means you're happy with it. I'm very contented with something. I'm content, means you're happy with something. But here it's saying, I think it's saying, I'm not sure which way round this is actually. But but if it was content, that means what's inside of it, something. So the grave is probably full of soil. Let's say it's so the content of the grave is soil. That's what I assumed the meaning was. So there's two ways of saying that word. So I wasn't 100% sure which one it was, but so maybe I'm wrong. But I think it's probably content rather than content. Do you fancy just saying both of those, the different ways of saying it? Content and content. Bit tricky.
Mm.
I can't hear you. Are you muted maybe? Oh, am
Yeah,
I?
yeah, I got the difference between
Oh, okay.
content and content. Yeah.
Okay. That's it. Great. Okay, so let's scroll on then. So perhaps this is the last reading for the evening, I think. Maybe I'll read it through at the end myself, perhaps. So I think this is your one, Giuseppe. That's okay.
Yeah. It isn't just the delicacy of his touch here, the bones lying soft and the earth light. It's his ability to cast facts in unlikely and illuminating terms. We do not bury the dead 6 feet deep. We content ourselves, no, we oh, content ourselves with less than our own depth. A style of measure, I don't know,
Mm.
measurement that
Hmm.
suggests far more about the psychology of burial than 6 feet ever could. But there is more. Pulling back, we see the paragraphs to accomplish something strange and unkept. His knowledge is encyclopedic, but Browne's magic doesn't lie in the recitations of sundries.
Okay. You'll stop there. Okay. Yes, interesting little reading, isn't it, this? So any words there you want to check out or go back over again? Oh,
Yeah, of course, the pronunciation of that word, yeah, where you have the little arrow,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's a bit tricky. So measure, and but so that the overall process of measuring is measurement.
Measurement.
Yeah, measurement. So to me, it just sounds like I'm saying measure and then sort of munt on the end of it.
Mm.
I know it looks like meant, but we end up saying munt when we put this, but we say it quickly, I
Okay.
suppose. Measurement, measurement.
Measurement. Measurement.
Yeah, I think you have it really. That's just, did this word trick you at all? I'm not quite sure how you said it now. It's like I missed, I think.
Unkept.
Do you know what it means, that one?
No.
Oh, okay. So it basically means untidy.
Untidy.
So I might say my hair is unkempt, something like that. Or his clothing looked rather unkempt, perhaps creased. Perhaps he wasn't wearing his shirt properly. It was all rucked up at one side, maybe something like that. Unkempt.
And also, I think the last word I
Mm.
read is, yeah,
I thought, yeah, I think you said it pretty. I think it was pretty good pronunciation. I can't really say anything. So sundries, sundries.
sundries.
So other things that we haven't mentioned, small things probably don't really matter a great deal, but if you miss them out, you probably will notice them. Sundries, other little details.
Okay.
So recitation, I suppose, encyclopedic. That was very good. Nothing for me to say really. It was very good, I thought. Or maybe, um, so I think I would say it's like different. How would you say this word again here? That one at the beginning.
I said delicacy.
Let's copy that and put it into the dictionary. So I'm tempted to say delicacy. So let's have a look.
Delicacy.
Hmm. Let's have a look. Let's listen to them. Oh, bottom. It always moves down.
delicacy,
Yeah. So delicacy is the quality of being easy to break or harm. So delicate, I suppose. So how delicate is something? What's its delicacy, you might say. But so delicacy is the quality of being easy to break or harm and refers especially to people or things that are attractive or graceful. Very delicate. Delicacy. Uncountable noun, it says that. If you say that a situation or problem is delicate is of some delicacy, you mean that it is difficult to handle and needs careful and sensitive treatment. If someone handles a situation, we just had the situation one. So a delicacy is a, so here we go. This is a more interesting one, I think. So a delicacy is a rare or expensive food that is considered especially nice to eat. So caviar might be some people think of that as a delicacy. I think it's a bit too salty, but some people think it's a
Mhm.
delicacy. So, so do you have any delicacies that you like to eat, Giuseppe? Any food delicacies? A mouth-watering
Yeah,
little morsel.
actually, if I
Mm.
could pick up a delicacy, I pick up something among cheese.
Oh, a cheese. Oh, an Italian
Yeah.
cheese, I imagine,
Oh,
or
I think every kind of cheese
mm.
I like cheese, although I can't eat a lot, but yeah,
Oh,
I think it is something typical of each country. So
yes, very true. So, what cheeses do you have at the moment in your fridge or refrigerator or wherever you keep them? Do you have any fridges? Do you have any cheeses in your fridge?
yeah, I have some Parmesan and I have some fresh cheese.
Hmm.
So very um, soft.
Right. Okay.
And yeah, and after that, I have another cheese from the northernmost part of Italy, and it is not so um, fatty, I think,
Oh.
and it is a right compromise between fresh and maybe I don't know the word in English is.
Hmm.
Let me check the.
So that we think of soft and hard cheeses.
Yeah,
So,
and yeah, aged
oh,
kind
aged.
of
Okay.
aged cheese. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
it's not one of those ones that's aged underground, is it? Aged in a
yeah.
cave?
In caves,
Ah.
maybe and also they cover cheese with straw, for example,
Straw,
or
yes.
yeah, straw, or
Mm.
with leaves also. Yeah,
Yes.
and also with a kind of mix of red wine, for example, and
Inside the cheese, red
no,
wine in the.
outside. They take sawdust and red wine and make kind of um, mixture, and they cover the cheese, and so the cheese absorb the
Yeah,
taste of the
the
wine.
flavors.
So
Yeah,
yeah, the
yeah.
flavor of the wine. Yeah.
Oh wow, the essence. Perhaps even the you might
The
say the
essence, yeah,
essence.
yeah,
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 fantastic.
and
Sounds wonderful.
there are people able to distinguish what kind of straw
Oh
covered the
no,
cheese. Yeah, yeah, it's
no. It's a very
impressive.
dry straw, or very
Yeah,
early
yeah,
straw, or a
yeah,
late
yeah, yeah, yeah.
straw. Oh my goodness.
And it is particularly for cheese that is that was inside caves for a long time, no matter its shape, because it is not beautiful to see in its aesthetics, but it is very good in its flavor. Yeah.
You don't buy cheese for how it looks. You buy cheese for how it tastes.
Yeah,
Mm,
exactly. And the more aged is the cheese, the more price you have to
that's true.
pay. Yeah.
Mm. I think the most unusual cheese I've had in the last few weeks or month, this year, let's say, was a cheese which was covered in on the outside. It was soft cheese, so you could cut it with a knife quite easily. It would crumble and even spread it if you wanted to spread it on a piece of toast or
Hmm.
something. And but it was covered in charcoal on the outside,
Hmm.
so it was blackish on the outside.
Blackish. Yeah, yeah.
So that's an interesting cheese, I think. I've had that a few times.
Yeah, in Italy there are some restriction about the use of charcoal.
Ah,
And for example, a few years ago, they used to yeah, to prepare kind of bread with charcoals, but yeah, nowadays it is not possible anymore. And so yeah,
mm,
in the past, yeah, we used a little more, but
mm.
nowadays I think just uh, kind of private or personal usage of
Have it privately, yes.
yeah, yeah.
So, I think there's certain strange chemicals in burnt things. Is that right? Or when you burn something, isn't it full
Yeah,
an unhealthy chemical?
I think the problem is if charcoals comes from maybe wood,
Mm.
or maybe comes from maybe mm, leftovers, or maybe remnants of mm, furniture, for example, or
Oh, the
other
origin of the
stuff.
wood, I see.
Yeah, treated with chemicals, or
That's the
maybe
risk, I
yeah,
suppose. Okay.
yeah, exactly.
That's interesting. I hadn't thought of
And
that.
then just to expand the discussion, for example, there is quite a strict control in the Italian pizzerias just to be sure they use wood in their ovens to cook the
Oh,
pizza, and
yes.
nothing else that uh, very good wood, and nothing else. So it's
Oh,
important to guarantee healthy pizza to everyone.
the best pizza too.
Yeah,
But I would say it's unusual to have a stone baked pizza from a restaurant, I would say, in my experience. And perhaps unless it's maybe a very expensive restaurant, it's quite rare. I've only perhaps on a couple of occasions had a stone baked pizza in a restaurant because they just don't, as far as I'm aware, at the moment, they just don't do it, apart from a few places.
yeah, yeah. Because you need a special oven,
Mm,
and yeah, also the right uh, kind of wood, and because yeah, it has to burn and without a big flame.
Mm,
And yeah, you can easily notice the good wood inside
mm,
an oven because uh, while burning it still has its shape, so it doesn't break down, or it doesn't eye fire, and so it develops heat in a very regular way.
yes.
And I think the images you have, for example, the first on the left and on the last on the right, they are at the very beginning of the process when you have to heat the oven, and but then
Oh,
you can't
yes, yes.
cook a pizza inside.
Yeah. So would you? I have the vague memory or the idea that the pizza is stuck on the inside of the pizza of the domed oven. Is that right? Am I going crazy?
Sorry, do you mind repeating?
So if I, so I'm assuming. I think this one. There's no fire in this one at all. I click on this photo here. That's.
Yeah,
Oh, that's.
there are also oven that have not free fire inside. They are more electrical, so the stone
Mm,
is heated by something electrical that is
or gas
uh,
even maybe.
below the stone. Yeah.
Okay. But isn't there something to do with how moist it is, the moisture as well? So can't get a decent photo. Let's click on this photo. So the flames aren't too high in this photo. Let's see what happens. So some of these pizza ovens look like 2,000 pounds. Some of these
Mm.
stone-based pizza ovens here. Hand cast. Oh dear. Got these. How do I get rid of that?
Yeah, they are
Vent.
nice for use in families or in a cottage,
Mm.
and yeah, that's nice.
Wow. Yeah. But I say it's quite unusual though. This is very unusual. I wish they had. I wish they had more of them. But so, so Michael, have you had one of these pizzas? Have you? I assume you've had a pizza, but have you had a stone baked pizza?
Uh, you ask me, do you ask me about so
Hmm.
I'm eat this pizza or not?
So I'm guessing you have eaten a pizza. Most people, I would imagine, have eaten a pizza in Europe. Have you eaten a pizza before?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Of course. But have you eaten a stone baked pizza? So it's how it's cooked is what I'm really referring to.
Yeah, 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 I understand.
Well, if you
Uh,
have, you've had more than I have had then.
maybe not, maybe not.
So this is on the
Um,
screen now. I'm not looking at buying one, but these are ones that if I was of a mind, I could buy them. I won't buy them. I'm not that interested in them. I don't have the room either, but so there's something very
but it,
particular. The flavor, the taste of a stone-baked oven pizza is completely different from one where you might go to a takeaway shop. They're completely different, I would say. One's very, very enjoyable, and one is just nice. That's what I would say is the difference. But I guess it's taste as well. It's taste. So, and it's also because there's wood here. I think there's a certain amount of moisture in the wood, and it makes the pizza taste just it's completely different. I would suggest, but maybe I'm too Western. So these are the photos, the squeeze boxes. There we go. So it's about 7:15 in London at the moment. So this is where we started at the very beginning. So maybe we should end here for the moment, but otherwise we'll go on forever. So I'll stop the recording here. So let's stop recording. There we go. So I'll stop that.